Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Division. I mean the Mega Gamecast. We're going to talk about The Division.
You ready to rock and roll?
We are ready to rock and roll. I'm ready to rock and roll. I'm Ryan Shepard. Drew's over here.
What's up, peeps?
Sai's on the phone.
How's it going, everybody?
And Red's in Germany.
Forgetting daylight savings time.
Yeah. Well, we already had daylight savings time, and that screwed me up. And you're having it next week?
I think so. Maybe next week or a week after.
See, I didn't know Germany even had it. I thought it was just, at this point, I thought it was just a United States thing, that we just couldn't get rid of the daylight savings time.
Yeah.
No?
No, I think parts of Europe have it too, but the only time that I notice that happens is when the time changes on my phone.
Yeah, it's just, on the phone's nice, it just automatically does it.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the thing, dude. If we didn't have our electronics, I'd probably be screwed. I wouldn't even know about this daylight saving stuff.
Yeah, if I wasn't on the internet, I wouldn't even remembered.
Yeah. So thank God for the internet,
remember,
guys.
turn your clocks back.
Or set them forward.
Yeah, set them forward.
Which is what happened to us. 2 a.m. hit, and then suddenly it was 3 a.m. That's how it started. And it's like, crap.
I hate
Yep.
the spring one moving forward and losing an hour. The fall one's nice.
Yeah. The fall one's nice, gaining the hour.
You get an extra hour.
I guess in the grand scheme, you do get more daylight by doing this whole set. So I don't know.
That's...
Once your body adjusts, it's better for the summer and whatever, I guess.
Hence daylight savings time.
All right, guys.
So,
speaking of daylight, how's the Division's lighting effects?
Yeah, they're pretty good. I think it's a pretty good-looking game. So the Division came out. PlayStation 4, Xbox One, PC. And this is Ubisoft's co-op shooter multiplayer thing where you run around New York City and shoot people and get loot and join up with people and shoot other people sometimes, and that's pretty much it, right?
Well, I think, Ryan, to be fair, we have to also get into the story what the plot is. All right. What basically happened, for all you gamers out there who don't know what it is, basically
Spoiler
what happened
alert.
is, spoiler alert at the beginning, is what happened on a Black Friday, the most popular shopping day in America, a mutated version of the smallpox virus was released into New York. It was able to be spread by the form of money, which makes sense for why it happened on a Black Friday. So basically, New York is under martial law and in a containment process. Then the game announces in kind of a somewhat ridiculous fashion that in our civilization, there are a secret group of reserve soldiers called the Division.
Hidden
that
among
when
us.
Humanity breaks down, yep, they are among us, just like the Men in Black or X-Men with the mutants.
Yeah.
They are among us, and when danger calls, they are summoned to bring order into a chaotic society.
And then you create your character.
Yeah. Basically murder
Exactly.
everybody.
Ryan, I had to say, dude, the character that you you created is awesome, dude.
Yeah.
That's like gray hair.
Yeah, so I guess we could start with the character creation because that's kind of disappointing in a lot of ways.
That's an understatement.
Yeah,
I would say so. It's so limited that it's almost completely it's completely ridiculous. I mean, each gender or each ethnicity you choose, you only have 5 faces, a few certain designs on how to make your characters. I mean, I couldn't get my right hairstyle.
Yeah.
I mean, they do not have my my nice the cutty hairstyle, with my shaved sides, my cut off top. Instead, I had to choose a guy with shaved sides and long hair in the back.
So
that's why I got
What
a
a
Nick cap.
disgrace.
No, it's not a mullet. It's just somebody who really puts his bangs all the way back.
It's referred to as a high and tight with a long top. But yeah, I'm just as disappointed. I couldn't find my epic legendary red beard to have on my character.
They have issues against gingers. That's probably why they didn't put too many red beards.
Maybe the gingers caused the freaking plague.
Yeah, maybe they're more susceptible.
Who knows? But you think with a game this I guess in this day with stuff like Mass Effect, Dragon Age, and all those other type of games that you might be able to change what you look like, and that a company as big as Ubisoft might allow you to do that, but they didn't.
Well, yeah. So it's interesting. You say, like, you compare it to like Mass Effect and Dragon Age. This really isn't on that level, though. I mean, it's an RPG, but the world isn't as big as those games.
I disagree. I disagree in that aspect.
What I'm kind of getting at is, Destiny didn't have that either. I mean,
but you're wearing a helmet.
You could take it off, though. You didn't have it in cutscenes.
Yeah, you want to take a helmet off in space? I don't think so, bro.
And honestly,
I'm wearing that helmet all
are there any
the way.
Ubisoft games that really let you go in-depth creating characters? I don't think there really is.
That actually was my point, Drew, because I don't think Ubisoft ever had a game where you could really create an in-depth character as in terms of design.
Yeah,
I mean, we think of other
wrong.
games like Bethesda. We think of my sports games that always seem to perfect it. We think of, I don't know. You guys get what I'm saying, though.
Yeah.
There are a lot of other games where you can create your own custom character, and sometimes they get details down to a point, an absolute dot their I's and everything.
Well, yeah, some games literally let you sit in there for hours.
Ever had that, and maybe their focus wasn't so much on creation as it was, or maybe they just got lackadaisical with it as to wanting to focus on action and whatnot. That's just my opinion, though.
I have to ask Sai, and maybe everybody might call me a Ubisoft hater, but if they weren't focusing on that, I'm wondering what they were focusing on, because as we'll get into, you'll find multiple errors in the game. Now, there are a lot of beautiful things about the game if you take the time to look around. Mm-hmm. But there are a lot of glitches that I found so far, and I think I'm played the most out of everybody so far out of the division. Out of us. So, I mean, I've went around, seen a lot of things, but yeah, there's definitely some glitches in there. And
no, right, I agree.
We might as well go around and say where we are. So I think I'm level 14 now. Sai, where are you
about
at?
level 14. I'm about level 14 or 15.
What about Dark Zone levels?
Dark Zone levels, I'm 6 or 7.
Yeah, I'm not that high in the Dark Zone.
I actually just played it this past week. But going back to what you were saying, Red, I actually do agree with that point. I didn't want to get too out of focus yet. I wanted to stick on the topic of that. But I do agree with you on the glitches and other things we can criticize about it.
Yeah.
Well, the reason I was bringing up what I was talking about with character creation and trying to go into different companies was the fact that Ubisoft seems to be, and we had this with Primal. When we were talking about Primal, they keep cutting the corners, and unfortunately, the spots that they're cutting the corners are diminishing their games, and it makes it where you want to play their games, but you at the same time don't. You don't expect too much of them, and it really sucks because we invest all this money into it, and you're not getting a good quality game.
Yeah,
right. And I agree with that, Red. And again, I think it really depends on the developer, like Ubisoft. And I think I understand it's also their money. It's their product. They can do what they want. But I think they also, as I've said on like previous casts, I think each company has the responsibility as the person releasing the product to be as superior as possible and give the people what they want to the best of their absolute abilities. With the character creation, I think that's one level I don't think they surpassed on.
Well, I think this seems to be more focused on the world, the RPG aspects, and
sure.
The shooting, obviously. It seems like you guys seem to be kind of so-so on the overall shooting. Go for it, Red. Go for it.
Well, no, actually, I don't agree with that. I actually like the shooting, but go ahead, guys.
I was going to say, you say that, but there's this entire tab inside the game based on appearance.
Yeah, I believe it. Yeah, so do you guys name your guys? Do you guys name them?
No,
there's no name. So let me kind of go back to what we were saying, comparing it to other games and stuff like that. The reason why games like but the Bethesda RPGs and Dragon Age and other games where you actually get to create your character or name it and everything is those games are heavy on player choice, like making decisions throughout the game. So you're actually playing a character, and somehow that has an impact on whether it be just the story or the world or something like that. But the Division doesn't have any of that. Like, it's an RPG in like the sheer mechanics of it. Like, it's an RPG in the sense that you have skills that you can unlock and get better at certain things, and you gain XP. It's not a role-playing game in the sense of
There's no
your own
dialogue
story.
options that affect the game. There's no real or any way that really affects the story to that degree that we see other RPGs do.
In the same way that Far Cry isn't, it's the same way. It's an RPG. You get skills, you gain experience, but you're not making choices throughout the entire game that really impact the overall story. And
it's like you get a character and you're that character. Like, that's
exactly
the psychology I'm thinking that they have behind that, and kind of basically what you're saying is like when you play Mass Effect, it's like you are Commander Shepard, or you play Dragon Age Inquisition. It's you. It's your character. It's your life that you're making into this. Whereas with the Division here, basically you're plopping and you're like kind of ghosting into somebody else's life, and you're kind of just sitting in you get to sit in the driver's seat a little bit and move around, but basically you're kind of co-piloting with this thing, and you don't really get to control that. All right, maybe I don't want to be the guy saving. I want to be one of those rogue agents, that it decides to kill everybody or something.
That seems to be a choice. I guess that's one choice.
That's a choice, but it's I mean it's an interesting choice.
Not in the story.
Not in the story.
Right.
No, that's all Dark Zone stuff.
It's a PvP choice.
Yeah. And, that kind of goes with, so your character doesn't talk. Your character doesn't talk ever. It's a silent protagonist. And you're basically just, you're a tool to go to these missions and you're not in like
a tool.
Not in like a negative
you're a
way or anything
soldier,
like that.
I think is the best thing to say, Ryan.
Yeah, you're a doobie. Go do that. Go do this. Go do this. Go do that. And that gets you the XP. That gets you your weapons. That gets you your equipment. That gets you what you're there for, and that's to hopefully just level up and have a good time with hopefully friends. Because if you don't have anybody to play this game with, it kind of
gets redundant.
A little bit disappointing.
Yeah. See, I guess. Just to cut you off real quick, Ryan, the one thing you guys were talking about, Mass Effect, Dragon Age, all that, and the Bethesda games, those are single-player focused games, with the character creating and all that.
Mm-hmm.
This is a multiplayer shooter, and like Ryan was saying, like with Destiny and this, it has a whole different vibe. It's more about a connected world and being online and having other people.
It's an MMORPG essentially. It's like World of Warcraft.
Yes and no.
Whoa.
Dumbed down. It's a dumbed down MMO.
It's very much an MMO light. It's like
MMO light.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, Bungie and Ubisoft have been very careful in never actually using the term MMO because that's not what this is.
Right. Because technically it isn't.
This is a co-op shooter. It's like you have a group of, and this I think is 4 the max you can have in the Division.
That's what I heard.
Yes. Yeah, so 4 in the Division, 6 in Destiny. And then the missions are broken up in Destiny. It's even broken up further. You can have like 3 on certain missions, 6 on the raid, stuff like that. And it shares a lot more in common with things like Borderlands or Diablo rather than MMOs like Guild Wars or World of Warcraft. So it's definitely not it's not as much of an MMO as some people on the internet would have you believe.
I think that it could though push into something like that if they invested more into that let's say that they invested some money into the character creation like we've been talking about and put stuff into that nature, they could make it into an MMO if they wanted to. It does have the capability of doing that. The way the game is, the PvP aspects of it are very similar to that you would see in an MMO. The whole glamour, I guess you would call it, effect for appearance that you see is very like an MMO. The only thing that you don't seem to have so far in this is a mount or vehicle, So I mean,
which I guess is another
we don't know
thing.
if that's coming.
Yeah,
We don't know if
I
that's
actually, I think based on how well it's sold, I'm starting to wonder if now I'm going to make a parallel suggestion here. What if they did what Mass Effect did? You know, first Mass Effect I really liked. The second one succeeded expectations, and they improved on just about every aspect. What if they actually did that, Red? They tried doing this as a test product, and then they expanded on that and could have made it a true MMORPG. That's what I think could be the possibility there.
I think the Division is exactly what you're talking about for Wildlands that they're coming out with later on.
They could be.
I think it's exactly what that is. That this is the test run. Even though, you know, everybody's really into it, I think it is the test run to see, all right, let's see how this type of environment works, and let's see how the community responds. So maybe in the Wildlands that comes out later on,
which I haven't heard much about.
Yeah, there isn't enough about Wildlands
exactly.
for me to really comment on that.
Purposely doing that, and I think that's the point. They're purposely doing that. This is a test run. They find out how it runs. It's kind of like you were talking about Far Cry 4 versus Primal, where they kind of like copied and pasted, you know? Whereas I think that the Division and Wildlands, they chose one to be the front runner, to be the test, and then just kind of pushed the other one aside and like, well, we'll run it if we think this goes well, you know?
I don't know. Like I said, there hasn't really been too much about Wildlands out there. And like you said, I mean, that could be why they haven't said anything, because they're keeping a lot of it close to their chest. But to me, I like that. That really seemed like a co-op shooter, kind of like what not less than what Destiny is. Like, not a huge open world where you're going to be dropping in and dropping out. More of like a, hey, I'm going on this mission. You guys want to help me out? I don't know. It's
hard to tell. Like you said, there's just not much information based on that game.
I mean, I'm probably going to hear more about that at E3 coming up and other places too.
And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised to see the Division supported, and they're going to keep adding shit on top of it as the years go on. I don't see like a big sequel that Sai's talking about for a while, but...
No, I don't think it's going to happen for a while. No, don't get me wrong.
But then again, it is
I'm
Ubisoft.
just stating this is the test product, like Red was saying, and I think they could expand upon it based just on the initial response. I mean, it was their fastest selling game, was it not? So, I mean, let's see what happens. But why don't we talk about some of the things that we liked about the game? Because I will admit, I have actually enjoyed this game, and as Ryan and I have both teamed up with other gamers to complete some missions, and even redoing some of the ones that we previously done are still fun. I mean, it's fun to play in a group, and it's fun to do the co-op mode. So I'm gonna actually give it props for that.
One thing I would like to say, I know you said positive, but one thing I do not like about the joining up. Say I join with you guys are level 14, 15, and I'm level 30.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It increases, instead of decreasing my level, it increases the level of the enemies to my level, so that it's more difficult for you. And that I do not like about the game. That's one thing I don't like so far.
Finding a way to balance it.
The problem though with leveling them to our level, Red, because I agree. You should join up with people based on their scale. But if you got people to Ryan and my character's level ability, wouldn't it be incredibly easy to play characters who are 15 points lower than you? I mean, it'd be a one-shot, you're dead. And in this game, Ryan and I have to do multiple headshots because most of the bad guys have bulletproof hoodies for some reason.
Well, you should. What I mean is they should dumb down the actual like other characters' levels, like they've done in other games, where basically they would make me, I technically be a best geared level 15. You know, with that character, that level stuff. They would dumb down the DPS on the weapons and dumb down the armor and my health and everything to make it equivalent to your level. That's what I mean in that aspect.
Yeah, I like that idea, actually.
I like it too.
Well, actually, with these games, it's typically, if you're level 30 joining 15, you're going to be a level 30. Like in other games, in similar games like this, you'd be a level 30 just steamrolling through 15 and basically carrying the level 15 guys with you. Like,
Yeah,
there's been a
That's
couple
what you're
of
doing right now, though.
memes out there where it's like somebody runs through, blows everything away, and then level 15 comes through and just picking up all the loot.
Yeah, yeah.
In the wake of this crater.
But that's what's happening.
That's like
That's
what
what's
these.
happening now.
That's what these two could use you for, you know? Like.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what's happening now. Is basically a level 30. Let's say I went to play with you two, and I'd go through. You would get just as much experience for a level 28 mission if I was level 28 as I would at level 28, and would push you up.
Yeah.
That many levels based on it. So in that aspect, I think it's wrong. I think because that's
almost a way to cheat through. Like
it incites the want to, hey, just power level me past this.
Yeah,
let's
exactly.
skip the story and let's just go straight to the end and get to level 30.
Well, I mean, you could do. What if you wanted to do that though? Like, what if that's how you wanted to play the game? That's not how I want to play the game. I want to enjoy the story and see all the little bits and pieces here. But what if that's all you're interested in doing?
Yeah, it's just getting.
I would say that's. I would
Maybe
honestly say that's to each individual gamer's choice. Exactly. Yeah. But again, that's not also how I want to do it. I want to enjoy the story and I want to level up on my own way. But that's just me because of what type of game. Mostly, predominantly because I like story games, and mostly because this is what this type of game I think requires to enjoy to get the most enjoyment out of it.
Yeah.
But again, everyone has different every gamer has different agendas. Everyone has different motives. So, I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's up to them.
Yeah.
Agendas and motives.
Well, I went through the game real fast, but I actually watched the story. Everybody may have thought because I hit level 30 3 days after it came out that I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
But I watched the story.
I don't think that.
I looked around and everything.
I don't know. Whatever. I didn't.
Well, from what I heard, this is no spoiler or anything, but Ryan and Sai, once you guys do end up getting towards the end, you guys will get an explanation about this outbreak.
Yes, you will.
You guys will get your, like, some of the questions we were asking on last week's podcasts, like, all these,
Like, where do the cleaners get all their flamethrowers?
Yeah, well, I don't know if that question will be answered, but
like, why do enemies infinitely respawn inside a quarantine zone? Like, isn't there a limited amount of people there?
Or why do all those people get their guns when New York has one of the highest gun control law bills in the United States?
Smuggling, man.
Stealing from the division.
Think about think about prohibition and stuff like that, man.
Yeah, they're making guns in their bathtubs.
Yeah, but you're talking about 100 years difference. So, and this is under a martial law quarantine. But I'm just making a light out of this subject.
Yeah, I know. There's so that's. I don't know, man.
They're trying to. They try to at least justify the story.
It sounds like this is a division hate cast here.
And again, it's not supposed to be real life. I mean, the only realistic thing about this life is, and a scary thing is how the smallpox virus allegedly was transmitted. I mean, everything else you just have to take with a grain of salt. I mean, honestly, a bunch of division agents walking among us, and they're only called during the most critical times. I mean, this is like the National Guard mixed in with the CIA super agents. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I mean, that's kind of one of the more ludicrous aspects of the story, is what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, it's a game.
It is. Again, it's fun. It's supposed to be fun, which it is to me. I'm just stating that with everything there. I mean, I'm just stating that going back is with it being a game, you just can't incorporate that point of realism, or you only have to keep that realism expectations low.
Well, you can incorporate it. They just chose not to. But all right, continue.
Well, yes, but I don't think you'd have as much fun if they did. That's just me, though.
I have a question for you guys. Have you guys taken a chance to look at the graffiti that's around the city yet?
I have.
Dude, I've heard that it's very accurate to real New York.
It is. I mean, there are some aspects in the buildings and so forth in which they made are pretty accurate to what New York is.
I guess they had some graffiti artists.
Yeah.
They went to New York and looked at some work. I know that.
They had to put something up because you're running 90% of the time in this game from place to place. Right. So there has to be something along the way to look at.
Graffiti artist, this is why I kind of wish Jean-Michel Basquiat was still alive, because he was one of the best graffiti artists that New York ever had, and one of the best artists that they had.
Is that Banksy?
His artwork would have been extraordinary. I'm sorry, was that Ryan?
Is that Banksy? Is that
Banksy?
Yeah. Nothing. Nobody.
None of us.
Wow, I
no.
thought we are new graffiti artists.
No, I'm not familiar with graffiti artists usually by name. I usually know it by what I see, not necessarily who the artist is.
Like,
I don't pay attention to names.
Nobody knows who he is. He does a lot of stuff, I think, in England and Europe.
Oh, okay.
He's done. You remember that famous thing of the Samuel L. Jackson and John Travolta from Pulp Fiction holding a banana?
Oh,
he did that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
He did that. So yeah, I mean, I think the world, like the way that the world looks, and like the destroyed cars, the fucked up streets, and the way that they've modeled New York City is pretty legit. It looks like New York City after like a couple month quarantine or something like that.
Right. It was the fall of society, which I think they did a really good job demonstrating.
Yeah,
and so
in the story, I think it's a really good story. Like, it's a really cool kind of like playing on modern day fears with like an epidemic and the idea of it spreading with money just in New York City. Like, that's where the ground zero is of this, and they're trying to quarantine. I think that's a really cool story. I just wish that they had saved that story for a different game. Like, didn't put the gameplay loop and the RPG and loot shooting type of game inside of that story, because it's like the gameplay and the story are constantly conflicting with each other.
They're at odds. Yeah.
You have the story, which is grounded in fear and reality, and the whole idea is like, hey, we got to get in there and help these people and contain this thing and help the survivors and the civilians, get rid of the bad guys, etc., and stuff like that. And then you have the game, and you're spending all this time in the city and you're not really accomplishing much. Yeah, you're not helping. You're running around the city for 30 hours or however long it takes you to beat it. That's probably way too long, but probably between 20 and 30 hours, I suspect.
Hey man, you can climb ladders.
Yeah.
I'd say that the game itself, outside of collectibles and everything, takes probably about 10 hours.
Really?
Really? You think it's that much?
What, with side missions? With the side missions?
If you were to add in the side missions, I would add maybe about 4 or 5 more hours, if that.
Yeah, all right,
okay.
So 15 hours. So it take over this course of 15 hours or 30 levels, whatever you want to measure it. You're doing these things like you come across a civilian, and the civilian's like, hey, I need help, and you give them a soda, and they poop out a pistol. Like, and then like, 10 levels later, you walk by, and there's still a civilian on the street, and you give him a soda, and he poops out a pistol. Why doesn't that guy end up at my base and in a shelter or something like that?
Because it's a military base. It's not like a Superdome or something. And I'm sorry to put a Hurricane Katrina reference there, but it's not. It's a base of operations. It's not a refugee camp.
So not my base, but why don't I go build a base where these people can go?
Because you're a soldier. You're not strategically responsible for building it. That's what the bureaucrats in that game are. The people in the base are responsible.
I should have to go to a place and clear out the enemies, and then that place turns into a hospital where I see these civilians. That should be
just
one of
like
my
Fallout,
missions.
You mean like Fallout 4, taking over settlements and establishing communities?
Sure.
I'm laughing here, thinking of the Joker going, "Why so serious, son?"
No, that's a good point. I mean, I can see both aspects, Ryan, but I think Ubisoft, the reason why they don't do that is I think Ubisoft wanted to make something more entertaining. I think they wanted to make it more of a shooter in that aspect because they think a lot of people aren't as interested as in rebuilding as they are with pure action.
I'm not talking about actually physically rebuilding it. I'm talking about you do a mission, you clear out the base, and then later on when you walk by that location, it's something that's turned into a refugee place. It's something that you can go in, you can look around and be like, oh, this is cool.
Map.
Yeah, changing it.
I can't answer
You're actually
that, but
making your
I see what you're
impact on the
saying.
world.
Yeah, that's what I want to see, because it seems like that's kind of what they suggested, that you were going in to help people, to help clean up the city, and instead I'm just walking around and there's another group of rioters. I better go shoot them up.
Yeah.
And
so Ryan
take
wants
their
to
stuff.
see the change. Ryan wants to see the change.
And I think that's
I want to
noble,
see something.
And I can't really speculate on why they didn't do that, Ryan. Maybe they want to play to the fact that they don't have the resources to do what you're suggesting. But I mean, again, this is just me. I mean, but I like that idea.
As long as they get their soda, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. Although I think bottles of water in this situation would be much more beneficial than Kansas
Bro,
soda.
that soda is so worthwhile to them. They'll give it up. They'll give up their firearms. All right.
Hey, it's called the hierarchy of needs, Drew. That's what it comes down.
It's cans of Surge. It's very rare and valuable.
Cans of Surge, Jesus, man.
That was good back in the day.
It was really good.
Something that ties into basically what you're saying, and slightly off on a tangent as far as Ubisoft goes, or Ubisoft, how the hell did you say them?
Ubi.
As far as they go with their games and so forth, I can tell you, I think they focus mostly on what your world looks like, as far as what they do with games.
Yeah.
I can tell you that most of Ubisoft's games are beautiful. Gorgeously done.
Yep.
Sure.
Unchanged.
Well, yeah. I mean, their graphics have never been something I would dispute. I mean, even Assassin's Creed Unity, which I despised, I always say from an art and technical perspective, it's gorgeous. Everything else, I'll crap on.
Red, do you remember Assassin's Creed 2? Did you play the original, like the earlier ones? Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood. You were legit like rebuilding a villa. Like, the more money you were making, you were, like, building up this homestead that Ezio had. And, like, stores were popping up and, like, art shops and blah, blah, blah. Like, the more money you were making, you could actually open up shops. Then Brotherhood, you went to Rome.
Because it was during the Italian Renaissance
I'm just saying,
that stuff was prevalent.
Yeah, and they did that also in Primal. In Primal, as you were building your little village there, you had the same aspect.
And
you got to remember
you can compare that to your base,
but you got to remember that those areas, yes, they do that with your base, but those areas are so much smaller as far as the aspect of the world that you have in there, and there's so much going on, and you got to understand that. And I understand partially why they didn't do what Ryan is suggesting, because if it's solo player, yes, you can do that. But the second is I'm playing with Sai. I already did this, and I helped all these guys. But he hasn't helped anybody yet because he's a selfish bastard that doesn't give out his soda. So
I would give my soda out to you.
And that's kind of goes back to, like, I wish the story and the game weren't together. Like, I wish there was a different story that justified this lack of, like, change, this lack of improvement.
Sure. So, how about? Go ahead.
So, for instance, in Destiny, because we're gonna have Destiny comparisons. It's inevitable. In Destiny,
of course,
your base or your spot where there isn't any combat is the tower. Where there isn't any is like it's on Earth, and it's this haven apparently where the darkness can't get to. But when you go out into the other planets, places that are far away from your base of operations, it makes sense, like, to have these things not slowly improve over time, because these are the enemy bases. These are where the enemy is, the aliens are, and you're not there to, like, really claim it back. You're there to just get something out of it and bring it back and figure out where the heart of the enemy is. So in that sense, because of the way that it was broken up, where you're not just running from place to place, you're going up into a spaceship, it feels like you're going to a completely different space. This concept of repeated missions over and over again, it makes a little bit more sense. At least it did to me when I was playing it. Like, I didn't realize while I was playing it that I'm like, why do I keep going back to this? Why don't we just go in and, like, make this another base, a place where I can go to and be safe? whereas in the Division, it's all connected. So I'm running to this mission. I'm running to it, and I just left my base. I'm running to this mission, and I'm starting it. And then once it's done, I go to my next mission, and I'm passing by that place I just did the previous mission, and it's still a mission zone. It isn't like there aren't soldiers there to be like, hey, how you doing? Thanks for clearing out my...
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks for clearing out this building. I can just go up to it and press a button and redo the entire mission, and it just doesn't make sense in the grounded, realistic world that they're building.
Because even in Far Cry, think about it. Remember when you clear out the outhouses and stuff, and like eventually, like the good guys take over, and it becomes your safe
Far Cry,
house.
you are actually changing the world. You're taking over an outpost, and then good guys are coming in, and then it's your area.
But Far Cry bases it on your world. You know, when you do a co-op in Far Cry, other people come into your world. Now, I can see them doing what you would suggest if it was based like an MMO, where you had servers. And let's say we were all on the same server and we're all working towards something, and you notice that we're all helping. And so the environment changes based on all of us. But because we jump from server to server to server to server to server, you know, that is harder to keep up or to change constantly, and requires way too much work on behalf of the developers, unfortunately, you know. And it is frustrating, like you said, to come and finish a mission and then, oh wow, it's back again.
Yeah. And like I said, I don't know if I said it or not, but I understand that. I understand why it has to be like that, because you need something to do. Like, you need to be able to bring your friends in and redo the mission if you want to, or there has to be encounters that keep fluctuating, so there's something to do when you're moving from mission to mission or something like that. But it goes back to, like, I wish it was in a different game. I wish that gameplay was in a different story that justified that type of gameplay. This would have been an awesome Splinter Cell game. Like, Sam Fisher has to infiltrate the quarantine zone of New York City and figure out who caused it and take out the bad guys. That would have been an awesome, story-driven Splinter Cell game.
So you're saying you would have preferred more of like a story-driven, like more of a linear kind of...
No, I'm not saying I would have preferred either or. I would have just rathered them...
No, I'm saying with the story. Because you're saying you wish this story was part of a different game.
Well, yeah,
I think he just wants to see his interactions make a difference.
Well, yeah, no, I understand that too. But.
Yeah, I just wish it was, like, I think it's a really cool story. I think it's a really cool concept. I just think it's going to be wasted on this type of gameplay. I don't think there's going to be... It could have been so much better if they had focused... if they had matched the gameplay up with the story, is basically what I'm saying.
So the gameplay falls short, in your opinion?
No. No, I'm saying that these are two very different things that are trying to compete with each other, and they're not clashing. They are clashing. They're not. The gameplay isn't The story isn't meshing with the gameplay, and the gameplay isn't pushing the story forward. Like
what Ryan wants is for both of those elements to sync with each other.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying.
Yeah,
and that I can definitely get aboard with, and I do agree. There seems to be more competition with those elements that you're suggesting. But I mean, let's just see what happens moving forward. I mean, if they do make a sequel, maybe they will correct that, and maybe they will, make it better.
You don't even need to make a sequel to change the game. I mean, Destiny, from what I've been told, but I quit it. The original Destiny that I started playing when it first came out, the game looks nothing like that anymore.
Yeah, it's completely different.
They changed the way it was running completely.
It's not that different. I played through the whole thing, like from beginning to end with Destiny, and there's more. Like they added more to it, and they changed the way that certain things flowed, but it's still basically the same game. Like they didn't change any of the major, like the long-term issues of that game, which is probably going to be some of the long-term issues of this game, and that there's always going to be a new thing to get. Like you can go and get the best weapon, the best gear, the best everything, and then next week they're going to add something new that completely invalidates all of that stuff.
Red, don't you have Do you have dailies now, like daily challenges to do?
Yes,
since
you
you're
do.
30?
Now,
Oh, okay.
Okay.
yes, you do. And I want to bring up something that, as Ryan was just talking about, in a week changes. So another aspect of this game that seems to be an issue is the vendors. Okay. I know as you guys are leveling up, you see that some things change. When you hit 30, the vendors barely change their stuff. The vendors in the base are completely useless, which defeats the purpose to having them. You get this special armory type vendor that's in the back. I'm sorry, spoiler alert on that one. That guy, his stuff like barely changes whatsoever.
Yeah.
And that is frustrating as hell because it's supposed to refresh every single day. Now, I thought, well, all right, maybe it's a week, because some of the aspects of the game have a week timer. Maybe it did that. Nope. Still has the same two weapons. One's called a Cassidy and the other's called a Pakon. I think. I don't know how to pronounce it anyways, but those two weapons are sitting there and they haven't changed the entire time. And that becomes frustrating to me as a player because here I have over 1 million credits in the game and I can't use any of it.
Yeah.
It's completely pointless. You can use it to reestablish your skills on your gear. You can redo them only once, and then it gets more and more expensive to change. But you have all these things with the vendors. You have the crafting, which I love the crafting in the game. I just think that it requires too much to do.
Yeah, I haven't really been doing the crafting. You could choose to break down your weapons or sell them. I've been selling them most of the time. And then buying awesome
personally,
weapon.
I would suggest break it down. Like I said,
That's my method. That's my
credits
method.
are
I break them down.
Yeah, the credits are completely and utterly useless at this point in the game.
Well, not for me right now.
Maybe
right now I'm fine. I'm buying weapons that are stronger than the things that I'm picking up in the world. So that's what I've been having luck with that.
I just break them down and I just try to buy the best weapons. Like after playing a bunch of side missions and then getting cash based on that, or just picking them up.
Yeah.
I mean, I've only bought maybe one thing, so I've been pretty good at saving my credits in that game because I want to try to get a better marksman rifle. Because I go with the SMGs usually, a rifle, and then my pistol with a silencer on it.
And that comes into other aspects of the game as stats. Where do you go your stats in this thing? Is there healers? Is there tanks? Is there DPS-based stats? Now, the way they have the concepts of these skills and talents that you have in the game, you'd think that you might be able to make that better, but it really is difficult. Like, you can have somebody be up there and be the front runner to get all the attention, but it kind of all evens out in the end to where, well, let's say you have low health. Usually the people that have low health have really high armor, so it kind of evens out with, So, I mean...
That kind of goes with the MMO light in that you can only have 4 people.
Exactly.
You can only have 4 people in your crew, so you can't have there's like one person dedicated for each talent if that's what you're going to go for, but you can't have like 2 damage dealers kind of playing off each other. Like, okay, I'll pull his attention now. Now I'll pull his attention. Now I'll pull his attention. In fact, whenever you do that, I notice the game kind of freaks out. Like if you're trying to pull aggro on one guy and then, they just start freaking out. They have no exactly. They just keep looking back and forth and then you just take him down, which, I mean, it's a good way to cheese the game, but I kind of hope that it would have been a little bit more strategic than that. And I don't know, maybe it's just a couple glitches here and there, but because there are definitely some of those in the game.
Speaking on that, I have a question for all you guys. I've heard divisive things. I've heard that some people say the AI is really, really impressive. Then others, I've heard that the AI is very stupid. So where do you guys stand on that?
Impressive.
Yeah.
As far as the enemies, other than what,
I've heard
what Ryan was just referred
the enemy intelligence is pretty smart, I guess.
The enemy intelligence and getting into cover and the method, like when you put it on the higher difficulties, the AI on that is incredibly impressive in my opinion. I love it because they actually make it where you might get yourself, annihilated, and it's really difficult to figure out how to get past that. And one of them is, I can use as an example, I can't remember the name of the mission, but you come up an elevator, you come up an elevator, and you get onto this roof, and on challenging mode, okay, which is the hardest difficulty in the game, you'll have the tank-like guys.
What's up, buddy?
It's my little red saying hi.
Hey, buddy. Hi, buddy.
It's Riddler. It's the Riddler.
It's
Riddler?
the Riddler.
Nice.
It's the Riddler.
Looks like he's
It's the
almost
Riddler.
dressed like the Riddler.
Yeah,
all in
right.
Green.
Hey, he's got the green going. It's St. Patty's.
All right, so let's say that again. Okay, so there's this mission on challenging where you come up an elevator and you come on this roof and you have the tank type guys that have a lot of armor, shields, all the riot gear and everything.
Yeah.
And so the way that AI works in this harder difficulty, this challenging mode, they'll have them come up on you. You'll have a sniper or two on the back, and they work with each other better than most players are working with each other.
Yeah.
And that's even when you're using party chat to talk to each other in order to get past a certain area. So the AIs, I guess, mesh with each other works amazingly, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And that's at the higher difficulties. Now, as you're going through like the city, the AI, I don't think they gave a crap.
Yeah.
Personally,
that you could just totally run up on them and they don't even do anything. They just stand there and shoot at you.
yeah,
until they die.
But when you get into the missions where you're trying to really get at the hardest point of the game, I think they blew it out of the sky.
Yeah, I thought there were a good balance of enemy types. Like you had the rushers, you had the mid guys, and then you had the heavies with snipers in the background too. And when those encounters all came together, I felt that, you know, it was challenging, but it was also like, all right, focus on these snipers, get them out of here. And then these heavies, they're slower, so they aren't going to run up on us right away. And, you know, just strategize in a way that, you prioritize these guys first, then these guys, and you kind of have to do that. And if you get a good team and it all comes together, it is very satisfying.
It is. I personally wish, and this comes back to the DPS tank and all that other stuff, I would love if they had the ability to be one of those really big guys with all the riot gear, moving slow, but being able to take a freaking beating from, shots and be able to move through the game. That would be, in my opinion, that would make the game more fun.
Yeah,
sure.
A little bit easier in some aspects for some people. And I can tell you some of those challenging missions have lasted 3 to 4 hours.
Wow. Yeah. So.
Yeah, but I definitely agree with your aspect, Red, on the AI. The AI is not to me easy to beat. I think they are above normal intelligence to what we've been seeing with other AIs. I mean, they will take cover. They do take their time in cover, and you have to choose your shots selectively, especially given the point that these enemies, regardless of what level you are, can be a lot harder to take down. With all things considering, based on your level.
Yeah.
But I will give them credit for establishing an enemy that's tough. It's no cakewalk, so I will give Ubisoft credit for that.
Yeah, and you guys can't just sit behind one piece of cover. Eventually, you get flanked. You got to keep moving, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
you get grenades thrown at you and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I mean, I find that kind of stuff impressive. And for me, I love third-person shooters and that kind of stuff. Like, I would definitely enjoy. So.
This game definitely takes it to the next level. I mean, best comparison I can think of is put Fallout 4 on its hardest difficulty, and you run into a completely full town. It is 10 times easier to do Fallout 4 than it would be this game. I mean, when you get in that challenging mode, the grenade, people lobbing the grenades at you are doing it almost every 20 seconds.
Yeah.
And there's more than one usually. You have the runners, which are the guys that have the shotguns that come up on you and surprisingly have a lot of health and armor, come up on you and smack the hell out of you, shoot you, one shot, you're dead.
Yeah.
And then you have those big gunners coming up on you as well. And like you said, and the marksman in the back. Mm-hmm. And so the whole freaking teamwork aspect of that is just amazing. In my opinion, there's one thing other than the art style that with this game that I think Ubisoft just blew out of the water.
Yeah, so maybe when we were talking earlier about they took shortcuts maybe in the character creation and other aspects.
definitely.
Maybe they put more effort into like things like the AI and the general gameplay and how the world
Sounds
looks
like
and-
something Bethesda should learn.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. See, that's the thing. Where we're talking about all these other games, these other games, they all have their own little glitches
Oh, yeah,
and,
no,
hiccups. And
Every game has its issues. I liked, so speaking of like trying to come up with like a tank class and a healer class, I found that healing was an easy thing to figure out. There were a lot of healing options. That's like, oh, this is obviously what a healer would have because it revives somebody when I shoot it at them or something like that.
Yep.
But I found it a little bit more difficult to find the perfect skill set for like a tank. Figuring out like figure out a way to boost your hit points, like help boost other people's hit points, improve the amount of damage you put out or something like that. And that was really the only problem I had personally with the RPG side of it. Otherwise, I think the RPG elements in this game are really good. It very fleshed out. I kind of wish you could have more than just 2 skills equipped at one time because you do unlock a ton of them. But I think it's cool that you can you upgrade your skills. So there's different things you can choose. You can master it if you like the turret. You can master the turret and have it do whatever the mastered turret does. And I think the RPG side of it was really well done.
Once you hit 30, you're given a master ability. Well, I wouldn't call it, it's not master on those abilities, but at the very bottom, you have a skill that works for healing, a skill that works for DPS, and a skill that works for tanking.
Okay.
And the healing one revives everybody around you.
Oh, that's cool.
No matter what's happening, unless you're completely down, like not in the revive stage. The DPS one does it like increases crit immensely for your shots and everything, so it gives you a higher damage output.
Yeah.
And then the last one is a tank one, which improves your shields and gives you a speed boost so that you're able to move faster through areas. So if you need to like get a lot of armor and get the hell out of there, you can pop this ability.
Okay, so it's something you activate?
Yes.
Okay.
On the PlayStation, it's L1 is one ability, R1's another ability, and for this particular special ability, you press both of them at the same time, and
Okay.
it'll pop it up.
So at least they have something there at the end that lets you...
A little incentive.
Yeah, a little bit. I wish it had been clearer at the beginning because you kind of need that throughout the whole game. It's not something that you just want to do at the end.
You can do it in the whole game, but you have to finish off all the tech wing and you get them based on how you unlock each part of the wing.
Okay,
I think it's...
So it's not something that just magically unlocks at the end. It's something you get when if you wanted to and focus on just the tech wing, you could get. Yes. I'm assuming that's going to be.
It's the 1,000 one. The one across
that'll be the
1,000.
shield one. No, tech's probably DPS.
Tech is DPS.
Yeah.
The security is the
shield.
tank one.
Yeah.
And of course, the medic is the medic one.
Yeah.
But there's a station that you open up that costs about 1,000 supplies or whatever it's called in there. That is for that skill in each one of them.
All right.
So
I didn't.
If you focus on that will help you throughout the game.
That's actually what I started to focus on the security wing because that's who I wanted to be, and so that was a good thing. That eventually I'm going to get something that. Totally justifies my choice to do that. That's good.
Yep. Definitely will help you out.
We didn't really talk about the Dark Zone yet. I don't know if we want to touch upon that. We're already an hour in.
I only have really limited experience playing that. I mean, it is somewhat fun, but I'd like to play it a little more before I give my full impression on it.
Yeah, me too.
I've played a lot of it. I wouldn't say the most. As much as other players, I've played quite a bit of it.
Yep.
I'm kind of frustrated with the fact that you're like me. I'm sitting on about 178,000 Dark Zone credits.
Yeah, and there's nothing to buy.
I'm level 35 in a Dark Zone, but the level 30 stuff, you get better stuff from doing the missions on the dailies.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no point in buying anything. Yeah, so you can't buy any plans or anything until you're level 50.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to wait in that aspect. And if you die,
you lose a
about
whole bunch of
10,000
shit. Yeah.
You lose about 10,000 credits each time. Now, if you go rogue and die, you lose like 2 to 3 times as much of that. If you're on a manhunt and die, like in manhunt is basically you went rogue and you killed like more than 5 or 6 people. So you do that and you die, you lose not only all that, you lose about 2 levels of your Dark Zone rank. So, I mean, part of it can get really frustrating.
Yeah.
And as you get in harder zones in there, the enemies are higher levels. Dark Zone 3 and 4, the enemies are 31, and then 5 and 6 are level 32. And it gets far more challenging as you get farther into that game. And the main thing with the Dark Zone that I've found lately is that you go around killing bosses, and that's it.
Yeah.
I've gotten to a point where you get something called Phoenix credits once you hit 30.
Yep.
That I have nothing to buy with them.
Do you know
There's
what they're
nothing
for?
to buy. You can use them to so once you get yellow gear in the game,
Yep.
you can use those Phoenix credits like you would with money to change the stats on your gear.
Okay.
So you require Phoenix credits to do that for the yellow gear because it's the legendary or whatever you want to call it, exotic type gear. That's the only aspect I've seen for the Phoenix credits past buying your blueprints for each mod that you want to get or for your knee pads that you want to create, whatever crafting you want to do.
Okay.
The game seems to be pushing towards crafting all your own stuff is the best way to go other than weapons.
Okay. All right.
But that's my thoughts on a Dark Zone. Like you guys said, you might want to see more of it. You have to watch out because people will leave a party and shoot you and take your stuff.
Yeah, there's been a lot of conversations about assholes in the Dark Zone. A variety of assholes.
If you're not in like a PlayStation party, and I don't know how this works on Xbox because I haven't heard that, but if you're not in a party, the actual game chat, you can hear other people's chats.
Yeah.
So if they're like,
I've experienced that. I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
You say
I
we're
heard
gonna
about that.
jump
Yeah.
this guy. Yeah. If you say, hey everybody, we're gonna jump this guy, they might hear you.
Yeah.
And shoot you before you do it.
Yeah. Right.
So have you
which
ran
is kind of funny.
Have you ran into any situations where people were like running in front of you to try to get you to go rogue?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I can say I've never done that.
No, I wouldn't. Why would you do that? That's dirty. Why would you do that?
It's awesome.
Some people have gotten really good at it. There's the best thing to do, and this is for any of you that really want to be a jerk or an asshole, is when people are about to extract their stuff out of the Dark Zone, is that you get that little shoot type mine to blow people up.
Yeah, that's what's happened to me.
You throw a grenade and then you shoot the mine, and both of them will hit at the same time and kill everybody.
Everybody attaching their stuff to the helicopter
will die.
If they don't get it on the helicopter in time, they all die, and that guy has rights to go through. Well, technically has rights to go through all your loot.
Yeah.
And find whatever they want. Plus, you drop money as well, so he gets all your money.
Yeah.
And all that aspect too. So I mean, there's a lot that you can get from that.
Yeah.
But that's if you want to be an asshole.
I heard because like on like Cy and Ryan's levels, I hear that it'd probably be a lot more beneficial for you guys to get that kind of loot because apparently you can get the best at least when you're lower levels, you get the best stuff in the Dark Zone. It's just you're taking a big risk.
I would suggest leveling up your Dark Zone before you hit 30, unlike what I did. I waited till I was 30, and then there were other people that were far better geared than me, were just like annihilating me left and right.
Yeah. It seems like that overall the Division has kind of like a in-game content issue. Like you have all this credit and stuff, but you don't have anything to spend it on.
The problem is I'd say they'd have a currency issue.
Yeah.
In which they give you too much. Like at the beginning, it seems like you don't have enough.
Yeah.
And then once you get towards the higher levels, it's like, what do I spend it on? I'm sitting here with nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
I mean, you can buy that stuff from the armory vendor or the vendors, but like I said, the vendors suck.
Yeah.
They have nothing that's worth anything for
Yeah.
you. And I hope they change that. I mean, I hope they get a feedback from everybody.
Yeah,
And it's
I'm
like,
sure they will.
hey, don't do this.
Yeah, it's just strange that some of these criticisms, were levied against Destiny 2 when that came out, and I wish that like there had been more to alleviate some of those same issues. That it's like 2 years ago, well, not a full 2 years, but almost 2 years ago now, Destiny came out, had all of this. There's not enough of this. There's not enough of that. I don't like this. I don't like that. And a lot of these things were repeated in the Division. Oh well, I guess it's just like that. We'll see where it goes.
Ubisoft.
We'll see.
Well, like you guys said, like the references to Destiny so much, it's kind of like they copy and pasted the game. And I say this because of the fact that you look at the weapons, it's all the same kind of color scheme that they use for their weapons in Destiny, is it not?
Yeah. Well, it's the same.
Where it's blue, green, blue, purple, then yellow.
Yeah.
Something seems a little fishy to me.
Yeah, but tons of games have used those color schemes for a long time.
Yes and no. I've seen other games where I think the purple was the best.
Oh, okay.
I think,
so we're talking about
yeah.
specific colors at tiers here.
Well, yeah, tiers and colors. There's some of the abilities seem kind of the same way if you look at the abilities, it's almost exactly like that was in Destiny. There are way too many similarities between the two games, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think there's a lot there, and I wish, like I said, that the Division Ubisoft had taken a little bit of that criticism and applied it and made like a really awesome one of those games right out of the gate, instead of having kind of the same mediocre feeling I'm getting. Just like with Destiny, though, this is going to be like I'm more interested in seeing where they take this rather than actually enjoy like playing every single minute. I'm like, I want to see what are they going to do next. That's what I'm more interested in, as opposed to like I can't wait to find out what happens in the story, or I can't wait to find out what kind of skills I get next time everything drops. I'm more interested to see where what they change, how they take what they've started with and change it into something new. Like that's what my interest in Destiny right now is. How are they gonna circle back around and make this something I want to play in a few years?
I don't know. It's kind of like all the other games, half-assed when it comes out the gate.
Yeah, I wish we'd get away from that. I wish we'd start.
Me too.
I think we'd start rejecting it as a whole, like as opposed to, saying, "Oh, this is the best game ever," or like Ubisoft coming out and saying this is the best-selling game we've ever had.
Yeah.
And there were no reviews for it. There were no reviews for it before the game sold better than every other Ubisoft game.
I want to see one of their big titles flop. I really do. I want to see all these companies have one of their big titles flop, and I want to see it flop hard, because that right there will get them to realize that, hey, you need to come out with a complete game when you release it. A complete game. Not
hopefully COD
flops.
Yeah, COD's on its way.
We can keep wishing.
COD's on its way to having a really bad
Are you
year.
kidding? I thought they already flopped. They flopped when they came out with Advanced Warfare.
Yeah, but they still sold better than everyone.
Ghosts was the flop.
Yeah, I guess Ghost was the bigger flop.
And then
Ghost was a flop.
And then Advanced Warfare suffered because of it.
What was his name?
But that's the whole thing. It's like everybody pre-orders these games. They've bought it before it's even come out. They bought it day one before they even know if it's a quality product.
Hey, they saw Kevin Spacey's face, man.
And then, but then it's the next game that they have to take the financial hit from. Like you saw it with Assassin's Creed Unity.
Yeah.
And then Syndicate came out, and Ubisoft, the same people who just put this game out, The Division, were out there saying, they even owned up to it. They were like, yeah, Unity wasn't that great, so Syndicate sales faltered. That's why we're taking a year off, and we're going back to the basics with this new Assassin's Creed, kind of revamping it.
Yeah, so at least we're seeing it happen with AC, hopefully anyway.
Right, and it's like, I don't know, like it was probably too late in the development of the Division for them to take that approach with this and actually take another year, or not even a year, 6-8 months, and make something a little bit more refined, a little bit more asking
Maybe
of
they'll
a
do that with
$60 price.
Wildlands.
Well, wasn't this first shown even before the new consoles came out? Like, wasn't this like E3 2013 when this debuted? The Division.
Yeah, that's when it debuted. I'm not sure.
So I mean, this has been in development forever. So
Yes,
I mean,
it has.
like Ryan,
Yeah.
like, if they pushed it back, people would have just gotten more pissed, probably.
I don't
Who
know.
knows?
I don't think that has a lot to do
I
with
prefer them to push the game back and have a better game when it comes out. Like this Mass Effect Andromeda that's supposed to come out. They keep pushing it back, and I'm hoping the fact that it's being pushed back means that they're making it that much better when it comes
Yeah,
out.
hopefully.
Because if it comes out and it's an awesome game, I'd be like, I don't care if I had to wait 5 more years, man.
Oh, completely
this is
agreed.
A great game.
it. Yeah, the thing I'm
Yeah.
worried about there, though, is that so many people are leaving BioWare. Like,
Yeah.
every week there's
Oh.
every week a new person's leaving BioWare to go somewhere else, and it's like, what's happening with Mass Effect?
That's why they keep pushing it back.
Yeah, I know. That's the whole thing. It's like, what's going on with Mass Effect? Why is everybody leaving? Why aren't they staying until this game's out? Because it's not coming out in a couple of weeks. It's coming out in like a year, or a little bit less than a year now. It's supposed to, but
You're gonna have to let
it's
No
not
Man's
done
Sky,
yet.
man,
Yeah,
satiate your
it's
attitude.
not done yet.
Your,
So don't leave yet. I don't know.
No Man's
I'm
Sky,
worried.
Ryan.
I'm
No
worried.
Man's Sky.
Yeah, No Man's Sky. We'll
That'll
see.
make you
we'll
feel
see
better.
how that goes. How that turns out. I really hope that ends up being what I want it to be.
Well, it's gonna be $60.
But
So.
I don't even know what I want it to be, so I don't know.
I don't even know if I'm gonna get that game.
I'll
to be
get.
honest,
All right,
but-
you're off the podcast. See ya.
No,
Well,
right.
it's the fact that you have that Quantum Break coming out, you have Dark Souls 3 coming out, and you have that game, and I can only get 2 out of the 3 games, so I'm kind of
Well, No
pushing
Man's
towards
Sky
the games I like more.
Is until June, I believe.
Yeah, that's not coming out until June.
But Red, we have Uncharted though in May. And I know you want to get
definitely will be. Yeah, I'm getting Uncharted.
Yeah.
I'm definitely getting Uncharted. But I have no idea what No Man's Sky is about. I haven't looked into it too much. I've seen a couple of people post on it,
Yeah.
but I haven't really looked in to see what the game, what's the purpose.
that. It
you
looks
know?
beautiful.
It's a survival
It
game.
looks beautiful.
You're
it
you're
looks
going around
beautiful.
to planets. You're collecting resources, and you're upgrading your suit and your ship, and you're trying to basically survive in space.
And supposedly, like every single, there's like what, 1 trillion planets or
Yeah,
something.
there's like trillions of planets, and you can trade with alien races. You can learn their language by, researching it and stuff like that. It's like, I don't know. It's like a survival game, like all those other survival games where you're crafting stuff,
So
except it's taking place in a universe with unlimited amount of planets to visit.
it reminds me kind of this alpha that I was playing called Grav, that I was playing on Steam,
Okay.
but a bit more refined.
Okay.
I may look into it, you know.
Yeah, I
as
mean,
a game
I would
to
definitely
play.
take a look at it if you're into that kind of stuff. Like if you like the crafting in Far Cry Primal, for instance. It's probably going to be similar to that in that respect. Hopefully a better game built around it, though.
Hopefully.
Yeah. All right, well, that's going to take care of The Division hit today. I know it sounds like we destroyed it, but we had some positive things to talk about.
yeah,
It's a great game. I actually really like more. I think there's more good than bad, in
Yeah.
my opinion.
all right. So Red,
Okay.
if you were to rate it out of 10, what would you give it?
Out of 10,
Yeah,
I'd give it probably a 8 to 8.5.
Okay.
Cy Cuddy.
I'm in the same boat. 8 to 8.5 sounds very accurate.
Okay. I'm going to go
Ryan?
with IGN and give it a 6.7.
I knew that was coming.
Ouch.
A D.
You know what? I don't really not to really defend IGN, but they did make some good points. It's not like they completely shit all over the game.
No,
if
no.
you actually read or watched the
I mean,
review.
for one, a 6.7 isn't a terrible score. It's
hey, it's still passing in high school.
yeah, but
Is this
in
a Gamecast or a dunk?
Hey, D stands for degree, so
yeah, right.
yeah, but I mean, game scores aren't scored on a curve though. They're scored from 1 to 10.
Yeah,
So 6.7 is
that's still over half.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
about
it's-
the
yeah.
average.
it's
well,
it's
actually, that's failing.
no,
That's
it's like a D.
average.
It's like a D. Yeah, but if you're going
but,
by
but it wouldn't scale to a D. Like a C would be
Yeah.
5. 5 would be a C in this scale
well,
because you're going from 1 to 10.
yeah, I guess yeah.
So
Yeah. No, it's like
not bad. It's not bad.
Well,
Yeah,
I
no.
feel like if a game gets a 5, that's when people are like, no, we're not touching that.
Yeah.
But it's still like a 6 or a 7. That's still respectable, even though
Well,
it seems
alright,
like
so-
people these days, they see an 8 and they freak out like, oh my God.
This is the worst game
yeah,
ever.
Yeah.
It's all about
Gameplay,
hype.
I'd agree with that 6.7 as far
Gameplay,
as the
yeah.
gameplay in the game. And like all the points that you brought up, I'd agree with the 6.7. Visually, I'd give it the 8.5.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, the visuals are good, and like I like the story. I just wish it was better in the context of the game. Like it just was told better, and I don't know. I just
Maybe your character had a voice. I mean, that.
well, no,
I
not necessarily.
I like that. I prefer that.
Yeah,
but-
I mean, it would go a little. It would at least give you a little bit more character, I guess.
I mean, not like Takar with his fake. Well, no, he didn't have a voice either, does he? Takar?
No.
No.
Oh no.
The fake accents.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All
But
right, well,
all right, one more point, guys. Just one little thing. I've talked to a couple New Yorkers, and yeah, back to that graffiti thing. Apparently, yeah, very, very accurate to what
Oh,
they see on a day-to-day.
we didn't talk about these accents though.
Oh, are they legit or?
Yeah, well, no.
Some
like-
yes, some
There's
no.
like two. There's like two New Yorkers they hired for this game, and the others are voice actors trying to do a New York accent.
Probably didn't come out to.
Like some of the main characters that have the New York accent, you could tell they hired a legit voice actor that could do a New York accent. The other ones are like Ubisoft stock voice actors that they try to do everything and they sound terrible in every game,
Yeah.
no matter what accent they're trying to do. And
I'm gonna try and pull off a New Yorker.
yeah, pretty much.
See, that was realistic right there.
yeah, one line.
Si, you all right, man?
I was noticing it right away. I was like, no, that guy's not a native New Yorker. He's not a pro actor. And then there were ones that are like, oh, that sounds really good. That guy pulled it off. All right. Well, that's
right.
gonna do it up. You can follow me on Twitter, Ryan Shepard _.
LA Drew 87.
So,
Real Cy Cuddy.
and how do you want people to get a hold of you, Red?
Well, I'm on Facebook as Redbeard,
Yeah.
or you can look on YouTube as It Is I Redbeard.
Okay. And you could go to megagamecast.tumblr.com, submit questions, comment on our stuff. You can comment on the Facebook pages too. We want to try to do a viewer question segment again because that
was fun.
Yeah, that was fun. There were some good questions
was
that
great.
came in. And like and subscribe. Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
boy.
See you next
All
time,
right.
guys.
Peace.